Hello and welcome. This is going to be a bit of an adventure today. I've got all sorts of things changed up around here, so apologies in advance if this is a complete disaster. But before we get going, go ahead and say something in the chat if you are here and let us know where you're joining from. I have to find the right button for this now, because I still do have the map set up at the very least. And it looks like we have people from all over the place today, which is wonderful to see. So thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Today is going to be quite a bit of an adventure. I have, if you've looked at the description or the title of this, I've got a bunch of different things to show. So we've got the streaming bridge in hand now. I have it here in front of me. I have seen people from all over the place been reporting in that theirs have been coming in over the last week, so that is super exciting. And I also have a new wireless transmitter and receiver to test and show off, assuming that is still running over there. And I'm gonna show you how I've decided one good use of the streaming bridge in this studio itself, just as a local device on the network. So that's more or less the what we're going to talk about today. And feel free to drop in questions, of course, at any time into the chat. And as always, if you do have a question for me, make sure you put my full name in the chat, @AaronParecki. And that makes it turn orange on my screen, and then I'll be able to see the message easier. So yeah, with that, I do want to give a quick tour of what I have set up here, although I am now realizing that I did not give myself a good roaming camera for this. So you might bear with me while I put that together live. I felt like I had all the time in the world this morning getting set up, and then all of a sudden it was like 10 o'clock and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go push the button to go live. So you know how it goes, And yeah, well, all right. So I'm going to first switch over to, next I need is wireless headphones so I can monitor my audio to make sure that's correct. But again, thank you all for joining, and this should be a bit of an adventure today. So let's go ahead and pull up the chat. And wow, Trent, we have Trent from Tokyo. That is unusual to get that time zone in here. This is not a good time for that part of the world. Thank you for joining. Okay, all right, here we go. We're gonna do this. So I'm gonna go switch over to showing the. Is that going to take off the key? No, it's not. So yeah, I'm not doing any of my normal. Not doing any of my normal workflow here. So this is like everything is different. So my macro buttons are all changed up today. I really actually only have 4. I'm gonna show you in a second the other camera angles I have over there, but I've got this view, and now I also have that view, but the sound, I'll talk about the sound in a second. And I've got my show chat, hide chat buttons. Speaking of the chat, let me go take a look at the chat and show that on the screen. Then I'm gonna have to actually yank my computer and make it portable so that I can go over to the other desk. Let's take a look at some questions really quick to see if there is anything in here. Streaming bridge is on the way. Hope it arrives tomorrow. Awesome. That's exciting. And, oh, this is a good question. How long does the battery last on that M5 stick? I have no idea. I haven't actually tried to use it for any amount of time. We're going to find out because I do have it set up on one of my cameras today. If you don't know what the M5 stick is, my last live stream was on not my normal day, Thursday, and I was doing some live coding, putting together that M5 stick, turning it into a tally light, and then we sort of just brainstormed other uses for it as a group, and someone suggested the using it to actually switch to that camera angle. And that's definitely not a conventional use of a tally, but it totally works and it's great. So I have that set up. Nice. Chuck's streaming bridge is here. Do you think all routers will need to port forward? On mine it says port 1935. Yeah, so I am going to do like a proper tutorial on this at some point, but in the meantime, I've just been testing it out a little bit. Then yeah, so if you are on like a regular network that is, you know, doing where you have like a router at home and you have a bunch of computers behind that, then yeah, you're gonna need to port forward from that router to the streaming bridge. I did notice that it seems like it will try to poke a hole in the router for you. Some routers can sort of auto-configure port forwarding, and it tries to do that. Not all routers will do that though, for better or for worse. So it might just work for you, or you might have to actually go and manually change your settings in the device. But yeah, I'm here, what I've got on my desk is I'm just using it locally on this network, so I'm just keeping it within this network, so nothing's on the internet with that, which I'll talk about in a second. So, oh, this is cool. Randy says they now have a Bluetooth version of the M5 stick. That is cool. I didn't realize that. That is very cool, though. This camera is the Lumix G7. As usual, this is my dedicated camera for this spot on my desk here. And I like it because it's not very expensive. And if you put a good lens on it, it's great. Like, it's totally fine for this. It's not the best for, like, if you're going to be using it out on the go or in other situations. It's a fine camera, but like there are better cameras for other applications, but I like it for this application of just it lives on my desk. Yes, UPnP is the thing that where it can auto-configure the port forwarding. And if your router does not support UPnP, you will probably see an error, then you'll have to do it manually. Etienne says, is a Chromecast useful when you want to take a PowerPoint in your stream? I guess so. You have to like screen share from your computer to the Chromecast. I haven't actually tried to do like a full screen share. I mostly screen share from Chrome tabs. So within Chrome can actually send the contents of a tab to the Chromecast, which is how the chat is showing up here. And oh, speaking of that, I found one of the video splitters, HDMI splitters, came in from Banggood, and I found one that does work with the Chromecast. So let me drop this link in here. I also put it in the description already, but if you joined early, you may have had the old description because I updated it like 5 minutes before the stream started. But this is an HDMI splitter that works with the Chromecast. Works with Chromecast, and that is now, so if you want to use your Chromecast into an ATEM Mini, the ATEM Mini can't read it directly, but you have to use a HDMI splitter that strips out the HDCP encryption on it, which is really unfortunate because that's not the Chromecast when you're using it for something like showing chat, like that's not HDCP encrypted by, you know, source data. So it's not like you're doing anything illegal by stripping the encryption. It's just that the Chromecast will only output HDCP. So there you go. But yeah, that one works. So take a look at that link if you want to get one of those. The one that I was using before on my desk, the product listing got updated in Amazon to say that it now supports HDCP, which is the opposite of what you want. And oh, so yeah, Jonas says, did you check if there's a special protocol for the streaming bridge with something like Wirecast? I am planning on doing that. Mine, I haven't had too much time yet to poke around with it. However, I did try just streaming from OBS to it and it did not work. So I'm assuming there's something special. The question then is how special, and could something like OBS build in, you know, the bits it needs in order to tell it to work? But the good news is that it was super seamless to get it running with my ATEM on the network here. It was like I thought I was doing something wrong because it just worked. Simon asks, what mic are you using this week? It's a lot more bass, deeper than last week's mic. Yeah, I'm totally changed everything up because I'm planning on moving over there in a second to the other desk. I'm on a lav mic right now, so I can walk around. It is this little thing. I don't even remember what brand this is. I got it so long ago, but it is connected to a Rode. Oops, I can't pull that. That's connected. It's connected to a Rode Wireless Go, and that way I can move around in here. All right. So, oh, this is a good point. Chromecast with the online version of Office. So if you're in a browser, yeah, then you can cast that tab to the ATEM. That's very cool. Google Slideshare would work just as well. Yeah. Okay. So, oh yeah. Steve asked, did I post a GitHub version of my mapping tweak? So I did mapping tweak at the head of, I don't know, now I don't know what I mean. So sorry Steve, I don't know what you mean, but I do have on my GitHub, I do have both the code from the M5 stick for the tally light, and right after the stream I posted that, and then I also have the chat from the map pins from the chat locations. Yeah, that's on my GitHub as well. It's not easy to run. Disclaimer. I have not packaged that up nicely. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I need to put together a camera so that I can show you what's going on. And what's the easiest way to do that? I can just use my phone. I plug in I have one input free on this ATEM. So if I plug in my Apple TV, I should be able to just, what just happened? Everything's fine, okay. If I plug in the Apple TV, I should be able to just use my phone as a camera. I think that might be the easiest thing. All right. Where is my NDI monitor? How am I going to get the audio? I might get my phone connected so that you can see this. We're going to have to do a little audio sync test to see if the audio is terribly, terribly out of sync. So let me switch to put on my headphones. I'm going to do my little clap test. Put on my headphones and switch to turn on the audio from that. So this is going to sound weird. Here's an echo. Is that too much? That's too much. I won't be able to, I'm just going to switch to the phone audio. Okay. So, okay, now, oh, did not mean to put the little picture-in-picture. This is my normal desk I stream from, and on there is the main ATEM Mini Pro and the streaming bridge plugged into input 4. And, oh, I can use the lav mic because you're not seeing me. Okay, lav mic, because I don't need to be in sync because you can't see me in this shot. I was going to do a diagram of this and I ran out of time. Actually, I might be able to just show you on my screen. I don't have a way to get my screen into the stream right now. This is my setup. So on my desk, I've got the ATEM Mini Pro, camera, Chromecast, streaming bridge, and microphone. That's streaming to YouTube. On my table, I've got another ATEM Mini, 2 cameras, the wireless receiver, transmitter or receiver, and then that is streaming to the streaming bridge. So this is the other table, and we're gonna, sorry. We're gonna come over here in a second and show you what that looks like from the other side, but I've got my GH5S camera, so I can get this shot. And this is the other camera, which is actually an SDI camera with the new Hollyland Mars 400S Pro, I think. And I've got my tally light on there as well. I need to do a better job of mounting that. But that it works. So I should be able to now cut to that camera, which, yeah, cool. And then I've got this ATEM Mini over here with this Hollyland receiver. And of course my multi-view, my screen for the multi-view. And you can see it is in fact streaming over to the streaming bridge at 30 megabits a second. So with that, let's switch back to this camera, put my phone down, and now I am going to go over there. So this is where the delay in the streaming bridge gets to be a little bit weird. So as I switch over to the streaming bridge, there's like I don't know, it's like a second or two. So the audio, I can't sync it up, right? So I have to switch to an audio source that is over there. So I've got a microphone over there as well. So I'm gonna grab my computer as well so that I can still see the chat over here. Now we're at the other table here, and you should be hearing me in sync, and you're hearing me from a microphone that's up here. And with any luck, it's actually fine. So let me know in chat if this is okay. Did I? Yes, my network is still up. Great. Audio is too low. Sync is fine, all in sync. Could use a tad more gain. All right, let me switch over to the other. Yeah, my headphones are over there, so I can't listen to it. Overhead mic is low. Okay, let me just try to crank this gain up on the mic itself. Is this any better? I can hear myself in the headphones, so it must be. Oh, hey, thanks, Camille, for the color. Too much. All right, back off. There we go. We'll try that. I also raised my voice, so that could have been the problem. Okay, thanks everyone. Great. Yeah, this is, like I said, this is a bit of a disaster. Oh, my Chromecast. That's what's going on. There's an image in front of me because my network, I unplugged my computer from the network and it lost the connection to the Chromecast, which is normally down there. It's supposed to be black. Come on, cast the tab to the Chromecast. There we go. All right. Yeah. Weird lower clock thing. That's because the Chromecast, when it does not receive a signal from anything, it defaults to like a picture. So yeah. So here's how I'm doing this. Here's how I'm keeping this in sync. I'm not on this lav mic anymore because the audio from this lav mic is running into the ATEM over there. And this video is from the streaming bridge, which is going to add too much of a delay to compensate with the frames you get in the, with just the 8 frames you get in the ATEM itself. So, yeah, so I had to, for this view, I have to route my audio in to this ATEM to bring it in sync. And that is, yeah, so that's a bit of a trick. So over here, I can now, like, I don't know, show things on this view, which I do want to show off a couple of things that we're going to talk about. I don't need that. So this one, for example, is the M5 stick that's off. My other one up here is on, and it looks like the battery already died. So the battery life on these is not good. I think it had been on for about an hour. So I would recommend powering these from USB-C Or there's like, I think you can input 5 volts from a little, there's a little pin on here on the top. Oh, I can show you my top-down camera, which focuses better. There's these little pins on top. One of them is an input pin, 5 volts in. So if you did want to like hardwire it into something, then you can power it that way instead. But it has USB-C on the bottom, which is easier, and you can just run any USB power into that. Yeah. Oh, this is a good good point. So I can use the lav mic with the streaming bridge feed so that you can see the latency. Yeah, let's try that. So let me turn on the audio from my microphone, which ATEM am I on now? I'm on the wrong one. Let me go over to the other ATEM. I'll turn on my audio from the microphone, and it's going to sound like a mess. But
so that's the delay.
It's not terrible. I think that's less than a second. I think it's about a second. So I'm on the local network here, right? It's a lot compared to like wireless transmitters and, HDMI delay, but it's not a lot compared to what it's doing, which is, RTMP stream. But 3 seconds, no, that was not 3 seconds. That was like under a second. What it's doing is it's from this ATEM through my network in the building to the streaming bridge. So I'm going at 30 megabits a second. But I think, so it's not too bad. It's definitely too much if you're going to try to sync up audio with it, because it's also not necessarily going to be the same every time. So if you were to, like, if I was to stop this and then start it again, it might have a slightly different delay the next time. But it's not bad for this kind of thing where like I'm taking this station, streaming it to that station. So I think that's pretty cool. Would connecting it directly be faster? I think so, but I haven't actually tested that yet. Like I said, I just got this in. I will be doing more tests with it. Does the quality have an effect on the delay? Also a good question. And we could test it. It does mean I have to stop streaming from that streaming bridge for a second. So what can I do? What can I show? I forgot to get my water bottle. Yeah, how's the latency compared to a Raspberry Pi? I don't know if I was getting... I don't think I was getting under a second on the Raspberry Pi ever, even when it was connected relatively direct. So I think this is better by default. And yeah, Roland says, I think people would do the out of band and use an out of band method to do a live discussion. RTMP would be used to deliver a good quality video for in post. I think so. I mean, I don't think you could have a conversation over this. I do want to try it at some point, but I think this much of a delay is probably best case because I'm in a local network. If I go to, if I were to go over the internet, I think it would be worse. All right. So, next thing actually, yeah, Jans, this is a good point. If both people are conscious of the delay, you probably could have a conversation over it. It's not going to feel like a natural conversation. It's going to be like TV broadcaster news conversation where like there's always that sort of awkward pause while the other person waits for their audio to catch up. But I think you could probably do it if you actually tried or practiced. Yeah, be like a satellite broadcaster conversation. So I think this is a good use of it. Like I think I'm actually pretty happy with what I can do with this, which is, it means I get a switcher over here so I can show my overhead, right? I can switch cameras over here. And this is not the one streaming to YouTube because I'm then overlaying chat with the other ATEM over there. So I'm sending this feed over to my other desk. And of course you can imagine this would work just as well even if I was like way farther away. So you have one studio broadcasting to another studio. So I think that's a pretty good use for it. Just, you know, in my network here. So the other thing I wanted to show here today was this Hollyland transmitter because it is also pretty cool. I just did a video about the 300 series, 300 Pro, and I like that one a lot. And there's actually some things I like about it more than this one in some ways, but this one has some really cool stuff as well. And one of the things this one does is it's SDI. So I've got my Blackmagic, which one is this one? The studio camera, the one with the SDI inputs that I normally would use in, with the television studio. So it's got SDI in and out so that you can send control commands to it. But because it has SDI out, I can run it into the SDI transmitter up here. And this thing is sending then wirelessly over to the receiver, which also happens to be on this desk, but it doesn't matter where it is. And the cool thing is that the receiver has both SDI and HDMI out, so I can actually use it as a converter as well. So I'm sending SDI into this, and then I get HDMI out for the ATEM. So that's kind of a cool idea for being able to use SDI cameras with your ATEM minis, which only have HDMI. So I think that's one of the cool things about it. What else is on here? So, you know, it's got like the real antennas again, and like battery, USB power, of course, which everybody's doing now, which is great. So I will say the studio camera is not the best camera to use for this. It's just the only SDI camera that I have. The reason it's not the best for this is because, as you will see, when I switch to this camera angle, I can't control the camera because it's expecting to get control commands over SDI from the ATEM, and this is not the right ATEM for this. So my colors are horrible. The colors are all a mess. And I'm also probably now a little bit out of sync, right? Actually, it's not too bad. I don't think there's a microphone on this to demonstrate that. Is there? Oh, there is. Check this out. So both audio are on. The camera audio is probably very quiet, but here's the sync test. That's pretty good, I think. Let me know. I don't have my headphones on, so I can't totally tell, but let me know how that sounded. I think that's pretty good. It's very close. These Hollyland latencies are, the latency on these things are really low. Certainly less than half a second, yeah. So yeah, and I did like a proper comparison of the audio delay on the last video. Have I tested the Hollyland Mars 400S in an open environment with multiple wireless devices, such as an auditorium or a big hall? I have not, because I have not been in any large open environments since February, as most of us have not. So no, I've not got a chance to actually test these in like a real environment other than just studio stuff. And well, I guess outside, I took the not this one yet, but the 300 Pro to the bridge and did a test where I tried to see how far across I could get the bridge. That was kind of fun. Didn't end up working out that well as like a proper test because I forgot that I don't actually know how far away I was from it, but I got pretty far. Oh, was somebody asking me about my microphone? So today I'm on a different microphone. Today I'm on this well, no. Over there I was on a lav mic. Here I'm on my microphone I use when I film at this desk, which is a Samsung C02. And it's running into the Zoom F6, which you can kind of see in the shot here. And that then goes into the ATEM. That's feeding into the ATEM. But then on that desk I usually just go and use my little Movo microphone plugged directly into the camera just because it's easier and there's no worry about figuring out the delay that way. And then for today, at the beginning, I'm on this lav mic because I want to be able to move around. This is a good question. What software do I use to create my signal flows? Well, that was the picture I showed earlier was actually just from Keynote because you can draw fun shapes on Keynote and connect them with lines. It's not the best. It's not like the fancy ones where you can like move a box and then all the lines come with it. But yeah. Have I tried using a smartphone with Filmic Pro installed for an extra camera? Yeah. Well, actually, what I was doing just a second ago with the tour was using the app called NDI Camera, NDI something camera. And that was sending NDI to my Apple TV, which is over there. And that was how you were seeing my little roving camera. If I had thought ahead or had more time to set up in the morning, I would have put this on another wireless transmitter because this is a little bit better than a phone. And, oh, nice. Tommy, good to see you here. You got the 400S Pro earlier. Also, yes, Komodo vibes. Yeah, I want to see what you do with that camera. I do want to see, because that is just out of control. This is my GH5S on this one today. Have I experimented with direct NDI solutions, such as BirdDog NDI encoder decoder? Yes, I did. Did not have a good experience with that. It was not really the fault of the device necessarily. It's the fault of who decides what audio sampling rate to use. And I decide the BirdDog is, what is it? I think it's 48 and the ATEM is 44.1 or the other way around. Basically, they didn't match up, so the audio didn't work. So I couldn't stream from, or no, it was Skype. So it was, yeah, Skype sending audio to the BirdDog, and it didn't recognize, the bitrate didn't match, so the audio didn't come through. The device worked fine, though. Like, yeah. But that's why I started using the Apple TV as an NDI decoder, because there's an app on the Apple TV, and so yeah, I can just like load in I can just push any NDI feed over to the Apple TV, and it will decode it and show it on the screen. So that's what I've been using. There's another NDI decoder that I haven't got a hold of yet, and I'm possibly interested in experimenting with that still. But yeah, I don't know, because like now I have the streaming bridge and it works great for this kind of thing, and that's kind of what I would be using NDI for anyway, because NDI isn't going to go over the internet. It's only for a local network setup. Andre says, yeah, I remember your video with John. Uh-huh. Yep. That was a disaster stream. How do you manage to show different colors when a super chat comes in? It's all just set up through if this, then that. I just connected my hue lights, which is what that lamp is. It's a Philips Hue bulb. Connected that to YouTube over if this, then that. And then it just happens. It's cool. John, I did not do an episode about this yet, but the software exists and it works great. So I demoed it in a live stream. I haven't done like an actual video about it. the Pi 400 is really cool. That's the keyboard that has a Pi in it, and I also got one and haven't played with it yet, but I really like that idea, and I think it's really good for portable rigs where the last thing I want to do is have a Pi and then also have a keyboard with a bunch of wires hanging off everywhere. So having it all built in where you just plug an HDMI port into your keyboard, super cool. Super cool. I'm very excited about that. Bart, oh, hey, Bart. I've been using the 400S and didn't think the 400S Pro had enough new features to check it out. I haven't used the 400S, so actually I don't know what the differences are. It could be that it maybe it's not worth an upgrade, but it is definitely a pretty cool little device. You're very welcome for the Streaming Bridge tutorial. That was a fun thing to put together, and I'm glad I got that working, because it was many months later that the Streaming Bridge started actually shipping. Okay, so Roland, here is a question for you. Have you got this to work? Because what I found with the one that I got, the $150 one that I got, it can decode an RTMP stream, but it has to pull it from somewhere. So it can't, like the ATEM has to push an RTMP stream to something. And that thing has to pull from something. So you need something in the middle still. And that thing in the middle could be like Nginx, an RTMP server. But you can't have the ATEM push directly to that device because it isn't an RTMP server. So that's what I found with the one I was playing with, unless I'm just missing a button on the screen somewhere. But that's what I found. So yeah, so I got a decoder from them, and I connected it. I think I actually have it over here. Maybe I could just plug it in. But like when you go set up channels, it asks you, where do you want to pull video feeds from? And you can pull from RTSP cameras, like security cameras. So I actually have it working where it can show me, the cameras around here in my studio and stuff. So that's pretty cool. That worked flawlessly. You can also enter a RTMP URL, but you can't enter the ATEM Mini because it doesn't. You need the encoder to receive the RTMP stream from the ATEM. Okay, I'll have to take a look at that one. I thought I needed the decoder. You need the decoder to turn it into HDMI. So you need the encoder to receive the RTMP stream, and then... Yeah, I know there's two of them. I thought the encoders were always HDMI to RTMP. So I'll have to check it out. Apparently I need to spend another $150 to get the encoder also. Thank you for the super chat, Peter. I just saw that fly by. Thanks for the super chat. And yeah, this is a lot of fun. And thanks for hanging out. What else? Oh, what else is on my desk? This thing. People have been asking about this because my ATEM Mini is on my desk over there. I normally have it on a little stand so that it lies at a little angle. And it's a 3D printed stand that I had a friend print, but you can buy these now. DVE stores started selling them. So this is the one that they sent me. And it is actually a 3D printed stand. It's the same one that you can go find the print files for. So if you don't want to print one or don't have a printer, you can go. You can now just go buy it. So this is what it looks like. It's I don't have enough light on these because they're black. There we go. So yeah, you can kind of see the 3D print lines on it. But yeah, it's that same file, and you can just buy it now, and they'll send it to you. They even include little rubber feet on the bottom so it doesn't slide around. And I thought that was pretty cool. I might actually just give these away to somebody because I already have mine. So we'll see. We'll see about doing a little giveaway for that. The desk table diagram showed at the start the streaming bridge connecting to the ISO to the Pro. Can't you connect ISO directly to the Pro, or what's the purpose? So if you missed what I've got set up here, this table is a totally self-contained streaming station, right? So I've got my two camera angles up here, plus this one, which is, the colors are all off on it. And this, I can stream from this ATEM Mini. This is the ISO for no reason. I can stream from this to YouTube, which is how I did the stream where I was working on these little things on Thursday. So I was using this ATEM. This is actually why I am doing it this way today, because I tore up my entire desk to go do that stream, so I could move the ATEM over here and redo the wires on it. And when I did that, then I was like, oh, now I have to go put it all back together on Sunday for my other stream. I was like, why don't I just leave it here and stream to the other ATEM? So this ATEM is streaming with a streaming bridge to my desk over there. And my desk over there has only one ATEM on it now. And that's my normal, that's one doing the Chromecast, right? The Chromecast overlay is happening over there. And the music, things like that. That's the one streaming to YouTube. So yes, I could wire them directly, which is what I normally do when they're on the same table. And I could also try to run a really long wire between these two, but I wanted to make a point of showing a use of the streaming bridge. This is a good point. It would be better if I had a safety cover over the fade to black button, which is too easy to press. It is too easy to press. It is dangerous. I wish, actually what Blackmagic should do is update it so that you can make it only fade to black if you long press. That way you have to actually hold it down. That would, I think, be a better solution. Yes, this is the stand. The link is in the description below. I will see if I can dig it up really quick as well, since I am talking about it here. ATEM Mini stand. Cool little thing. What is the app I was using for NDI and Apple TV? I think it's just called, I think there's only like one. It was $100 for the app because it's whatever, pro app development, but it's solid, it works. But if you just search for NDI, I think you'll find it. I don't think there were more than one options. Is it possible to use the streaming bridge with the Mini Pro in a way where I can stream to YouTube and to local projection? You would need something in between. So like a Raspberry Pi, if you were streaming from, yeah, you can't do it with the streaming bridge because the streaming bridge is just going to be the one destination from the ATEM. And then it outputs over HDMI, SDI. If you had a Raspberry Pi, for example, that can be your streaming destination. It can then also restream to YouTube and output over its HDMI. But the streaming bridge itself wouldn't do that. The Magewell NDI to HDMI adapter is better than the streaming bridge for local networking since it will accept NDI, RTMP, SRT, and HTTP. Yeah, that might be a good point. The definitely more flexible with that Magewell one. I don't have that one because it's like $400, I think. So I haven't pulled the trigger on that. And they haven't decided to send me one yet. But I will say, one of the advantages of the streaming bridge is that it is so simple to set up. Like, all I did was I plugged in the streaming bridge into my network, and then I went to the ATEM software control, and it's just in the list of options where to stream to. Like, I didn't have to do anything. So, pretty cool, I think, if you ask me. It like just works. So, that's I think the advantage of the streaming bridge is that it is very, very simple to get going. It is, yeah, it just does it. It does what it says it's going to do. Bart, good to see you most of the time. Yeah, I might have to join you on that soon. Cheers. Is there a correlation between the higher the streaming quality, the lower the streaming latency to the viewer? Do you want to find out? Should we find out? We have a couple minutes. Let's try it. So let me go over to my, unfortunately, I can't share my screen in this mode, but what I can do is go to this streaming bridge, and then why don't I put, I have an idea. How is this? Okay. Oh, it's not in focus. How am I going to focus that? Okay, that'll work. So let me go set up a scene over here where I can show you both the streaming bridge output and my desk. For my desk camera. So my desk camera is over here, and I want it in a little corner. So let's do DVE, main camera, small. Okay, so now you can see the delay. This is the streaming bridge delay. So the reason I'm doing that is because I'm about to stop the streaming bridge. So that feed is now on air. Oh, I lost audio because the audio was coming from that other one. Ha ha ha. Sorry. All right. Let me switch my audio. Now you're listening to the lav mic audio. All right. My bad. So let's try this again. My audio should be in sync with the camera I'm pointing to now. Yeah, because now this is the delay of the streaming bridge. So I'm gonna turn that off. This should black out in a second. Now I'm synced up here. This is my regular desk camera turned a little bit. And if I turn on streaming at Hyperdeck low, this is the delay of Hyperdeck low streaming. So how do I don't want to turn both audios back on, but I think it's the same. Let's try a lower quality one. Let's try streaming low. It's about the lowest quality. And I think it's the same. I don't think the quality is affecting that. Should I do, oh yeah, I can count with fingers. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a second, I don't know. Yeah, quality doesn't seem to be affecting that. I don't think that's a factor there. So let me switch back to high quality, stream, and then get back to the other audio so that I'm in better sync again. There we go. And let's get rid of that. Cool. Yeah, quality doesn't seem to be affecting it. I was under the impression you could stream to YouTube and the streaming bridge would just be able to find the video if it's on the same network. Not quite. So the streaming bridge acts as a streaming destination the same way that YouTube is a streaming destination. And now I wish I did have my computer screen shared into this so I could show you what it looks like. But basically where you go choose a platform to stream to, you know how it normally says like YouTube, Restream, Twitch, whatever, as soon as you have a streaming bridge on your network, it auto discovers it and it becomes one of the options. So you can either choose a streaming bridge or YouTube, but you can't choose both. Yeah. Independent from the streaming bridge, is it possible to control your ATEM Mini, the one at the remote table, from your original station, as in switch cameras on the ATEM Mini on your remote table? Absolutely. Because the way I've got the ATEM Mini control set up is everything is through the network. So my ATEMs are both wired into the network, which means what I'm doing is I'm switching back and forth in my ATEM software control app to connect to both ATEMs and then doing things on both of them from here. When I have my Stream Deck, the Elgato Stream Deck button grid set up, that's actually connected to a Raspberry Pi on the network, and that is sending commands to both at the same time. And it doesn't matter where they are physically, as long as it's all on the network. So that is, yeah, absolutely possible to control both no matter where they are. Simon points out that the quality didn't seem to change either. That's interesting. Yeah, it may be that you're seeing the YouTube compressed version by that point, which is I'm streaming to YouTube from that ATEM at streaming high. So you won't notice any really better quality from streaming high and above from this one. When I did streaming low from this one, there may have been some quality loss there, but it probably isn't actually significant enough to notice. Now, if I use my stress test clips with the funny patterns on them, I'm sure we would see the quality difference between the different encoder levels, which I am planning on doing. Yeah, you can absolutely relay the RTMP from Nginx. So if you wanted to stream to multiple things, so if you wanted to go to another station inside a studio and to YouTube or to a projector on the wall, Nginx is a good option for that. So you would stream from the ATEM to Nginx. That, on like a Raspberry Pi, that can output over HDMI. For one, it can also restream to a streaming bridge. It can restream to YouTube, and it would be able to handle that no problem. Can you use a streaming bridge with the ATEM Television Studio? Nope. The Television Studio does not have an RTMP encoder in it. It just is the switcher part. So, yeah. It really is an ATEM Mini thing. Nathan asks, how does the Apple TV NDI solution compare to OBS Ninja? They're kind of totally different things, because OBS Ninja is really more, I thought that was just for that was for remote guests, right? Where you're going to send somebody a link and then they join and then you get their video feed. NDI, you're not going to be doing that over the internet. NDI is for local network stuff because it needs a ton of bandwidth. I haven't actually used OBS Ninja too much except for just playing around with it. Please make a video on how to control 2 ATEM Mini Pros. That's a good idea. I like that idea. I have such a long list of video ideas right now, and unfortunately, I also have a long list of gear to get through and review, and those tend to take priority because I have other people who've sent me these things waiting for me to publish their videos, and so my own video ideas of tutorials and stuff tend to get pushed down the list, and this is not my full-time job, so I have a lot of other work I am doing in the meantime during the week. Jonas says, OBS Ninja also works completely in the local network when you aren't connecting to an outside source. Okay, yeah, fair. I haven't played around with it too much. I think what was the question about what versus OBS Ninja? Apple TV NDI? Yeah, not sure. NDI is going to be a lot more expensive, that's for sure. Can you use the SDI and HDMI out on the streaming bridge at the same time? I haven't actually confirmed that, but I think so. I believe that is the case because I don't think there's no like buttons on it. So there's not really any options. It just does the thing and it does it well. When I do an actual tutorial about it, I will make sure to talk about that. Yeah, this is a good point. A tutorial all about Companion and Stream Deck Duo would be very powerful. I do know that John Barker has a bunch of tutorials about Companion. They actually link to his from their website. So do go check out his channel because he has a lot of good info there. But it doesn't hurt to have more. And thank you for the super chat, Steve. I appreciate it. I believe Grant said they were loop outs. Not really loop outs, just simultaneous outs. There's 2 SDIs and 1 HDMI, and I think they're just all the same. Can you use the streaming bridge as an RTMP decoder and stream to it with OBS? I did try streaming to it from OBS just by typing in the IP address and port, and it didn't work. OBS says it disconnected, which suggests that it got some part of the way and then failed. So not looking good, which is really too bad because I don't see why they would. I don't see why they need to limit it to ATEM. It could be that it was just sort of an accident that it's limited to ATEMs, but that's a little bit unfortunate. And thank you, Randy, for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right, what else? Oh, here's a good one. For standalone streaming, which modem do you recommend to get it to connect to a mobile hotspot or tethering it to a mobile hotspot? I really like the little gl.inet. I don't understand what that means. But I really like these little routers. Let me drop a link here. Travel router. And I like these because they run an OS that is like, it's like a network router OS that's like open source, but then they have a little bit of their own UI on top of it that makes it a lot easier to use. But you can end up like, you can do a lot of stuff with them. You can like install custom software. You can run VPNs on it. It can be a VPN server and a VPN client. And it can do so much stuff. So and then there's another one. So that one can connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot. So you can or a USB. So you can plug your phone in over USB, give that an internet connection from your phone, or it can connect to Wi-Fi. This other one is a very similar device running the same software, but it actually has an LTE modem in it, which means you can put a SIM card in it and then it can get a network connection that way. So that is super cool also. And that means, and it's got Ethernet on the back, so you can actually take that, plug in your ATEM and some other device like a computer or whatever, and that is like a standalone streaming solution that just has its own network connection. It doesn't do bonded. You need to go to a whole nother price point to do like bonded networking, but it is a good solution for just a standalone one device. Roland says the Blackmagic product specialists commented on the B&H page that it will only work with ATEMs. My guess is they don't want to support OBS. Yeah, it's too bad. I do wish that they would have just made a generic receiver. If I tried SDI multi-channel with the ATEM Television Studio, not a fan of the ATEM Mini audio situation. No, I've never done SDI multi-channel. Not at all. The ATEM Mini audio situation isn't good, I will say. That's like the one disappointing thing about it. Nathan says, I know you have Mint Mobile. Are you able to tether the GL iNet travel router to your phone via USB? I can only use it by Wi-Fi. I'm pretty sure I did that at one point. My iPhone connected over USB to that, and it was showing up as a... Yeah, I think that was working. Not 100% sure now because I was using that for like emergency internet when my home internet went out one time. And I switched my home router to use that thing tethered to my phone so my whole house was online again. It was cool. ATEM has a single process for encoding and recording. If you're forced to stream low quality, how can you make sure you're recording in high quality? Yeah, this is another limitation of the Mini. If you have the ISO, it will record all of the inputs at the highest quality at 70 megabits a second. So, of course, then it's not cut together. It's not edited. So that the program does not get recorded at 70. If you wanted to record in high quality, then you would need to stream to something else. So, yeah, you could, I guess you could stream to a Raspberry Pi, which is then pushing to YouTube, stream to another streaming bridge to another ATEM to YouTube. Actually with this setup here, it would do it because I've got this ATEM is streaming at high quality to the streaming bridge. And if I hit record, it'll record in high quality program output. And then that thing is the one doing the YouTube streaming at lower quality. It's too bad they didn't just put, when they added the ISO, I feel like they could have just added another encoder also for the program at high quality. That's would have been a little better. Oh well. How I tested the wireless distance of the 400S Pro, they mentioned it's up to 400 feet. I have not. So I just got this in yesterday. DHL came on the weekend and actually made it into the building, which is nice because that doesn't always happen. Just got that. Haven't gone outside with it yet. And what I will say is that all of the ratings of these, of the maximum distances are going to be best case scenario in ideal conditions. And I wouldn't rely on that rating if you need to be running it at that distance in the real world, because you're really only going to get that with no interference with any other devices at the, direct line of sight, like across the bridge, like I was demoing on the other one. So the, yeah, think of the ratings as optimistic, not guaranteed. So the difference between 300 and 400 feet is not a ton in practice, right? I don't think it'll actually make that much of a difference. But now that I have both next to each other, I can actually try. Although putting them next to each other causes interference. So yeah. Joseph did a test for all the models and he had this problem. He did this live actually in a live stream, and he didn't have a way to look at the chat or hear us when he was out of the building. He also was doing it from outside a building to an inside of a building through a wall. So nowhere near going to get that range, but it was still a good test. The problem was that he had all of the receivers and all the transmitters bundled up to each other, next to each other, which means that they all sort of interfere with each other. If you look at I did a little animation of it for my last video, and think of it as you are shining a flashlight through a frosted piece of glass, and if you have two flashlights that get really close to each other and then tried to blink them on and off really fast, you wouldn't really be able to tell which one's which. They start blurring together once they get too close, right? So you can think of the frosted piece of glass as any material, like a wall or concrete. And then if you have multiple transmitters and they're all in the same area, they're just going to look like a blur from the outside. So that was it was interesting test. He would then redid it later with them farther apart, and it worked a ton better. It actually was a useful test at that point. The first test, as soon as he left the building, they all just died. But yeah, it is true that testing with interference is more realistic because there's always Wi-Fi and whatever, right? So other people's Wi-Fis, these aren't connecting to a Wi-Fi hotspot, but they're on the same frequency, so they still do sort of overlap. Michael, I don't know what is added in the Pro. I haven't had the 400S, so this is new to me. So yeah, I haven't tried the 400S version before. They look completely different though. This is it looks totally different, right? Totally different form factor. The receiver has blue. This one has red, so you can tell which one's which is kind of cool. And it's got SDI on the side. It's got HDMI and USB and power on the back, other power. It can power over USB or barrel or battery, which is pretty cool. Bob says, would this work? ATEM set to multi-view, USB-C out as a webcam. Yeah. Ethernet streaming bridge for local network broadcast. What do you mean local broadcast? Yeah, I mean, you get 3 outputs on the ATEM Mini, right? You've got USB, HDMI, and network. And HDMI can switch to any of the inputs are multi-view. The other 2 are program. So yeah, that totally works. And thank you for the super chat. All right. Have I heard back from Blackmagic regarding my suggestion for new ATEM with my wish list? I am not. They do not tend to be very public about new products that are coming out. And if the ATEM Mini line has taught us anything, it is that they will just surprise us at some point with a product and nobody will see it coming. All right. I'm looking through the chat to see if there's any other questions I want to get to before we wrap up, because I just realized we've gone over an hour. Well, let me go switch back to the other desk. And would help if my camera was in the right spot. There we go. And focus on me. There we go. Yes, all right. Did you find more SDI to HDMI converters? Why am I not in focus? I do have a bunch of them on order from DVE Store, so hopefully they are coming in soon. I'm going to be going through a bunch of changes on this desk here, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to do like a studio rebuild, probably multiple live streams at some point. My Build With Me series on my non-Sunday days, or might be Sunday afternoons. But I have a new desk I'm going to be setting up to replace this one. I'm going to be getting a 20x20 SDI switcher. Matrix, not switcher. Matrix, so that I can reassign any inputs to any outputs. And then I can stop yanking cables out from this desk all the time when I need to reconfigure stuff. Because I'm like, oh, I need to, put this monitor to show multi-view, or I need to run my Apple TV, but then I use the input for something. And then, so I'm just constantly rewiring things. And my goal is to get everything into this SDI matrix so that I can rewire it electronically. So I can just be like, oh, 20 input 2 is now output 8. Roland, I ordered the Blackmagic one. So I tried this with HDMI and I realized very quickly that the HDCP issues were going to make it not workable, because any device that supports HDCP is going to see that the switcher, the matrix supports HDCP, and then encrypt the signal. And then when it comes out the other end, it's encrypted. So the ATEM can't see it. So I would have to either strip HDCP with every source, which is my computer, and I'm going to have 2 outputs from my computer, as well as the Chromecast, and I don't even know what else, probably the Apple TV, right? And that that was just like, I was like, this is not good. Also because HDMI is a terrible protocol. It's awful. It is the worst. It is not good for video. It is like, yeah. So every time I would switch something, they would all have to renegotiate. And it would be like, yeah. So instead I'm doing a SDI matrix, and so I have to get all my sources into SDI, which I do have a couple of SDI sources, but most of my things are HDMI. So I have 14 SDI converters, bidirectional, on order. And they're bidirectional, so it does HDMI, SDI, and SDI, HDMI at the same time. 14 of those are coming, which should be enough to get me all these devices converted. And I'm going to be able to have all of the inputs on both ATEMs assignable to any of the inputs on that are going into that rack. So this is a project. Yeah, 14. I have 2 outputs from my computer because I can save one of those now because the reason I have 2 is because I need to run one to this monitor and one to the ATEM so you can see it. But now with the matrix, I can just run one output and then have it show up in 2 places, which is super cool. So computer, monitor, sources, computer, Hyperdeck, what else? HDMI receiver, and streaming bridge, Chromecast, Apple TV, Hyperdeck, or Raspberry Pi rather. And then if I start looking at this other desk, camera, and I usually have 3 cameras. That's already 11. And then on the receiving end, 8 inputs on the Mini, 2 monitors, small monitor, Hyperdeck. Anyway, at some point I'm going to do a whole diagram of this. It's intense. It adds up fast. So I just decided to get 14 of them, and we'll have some fun. This is a good question. How does this solve the HDCP problem? So the theory... Oh, I see what you were saying about the chat. What's going on is that now that I'm on Wi-Fi, the bandwidth to my Chromecast is lower. So it's compressing the image, and then my key flakes. The reason that solves this is, yes, the Chromecast will still need to be stripped because the Chromecast only outputs HDCP. Ever. It will only ever output HDCP. So it won't work with the ATEM Mini over HDMI because the ATEM Mini does not support HDCP, so I have to strip it. So it's still going to send a HDCP encrypted signal to the converter. And then the converter, so before it gets to the converter, I need to strip it. So I use the same splitter to strip HDCP. The reason that this is not a problem for all the other devices is because most of the time, these devices negotiate HDCP. They probe the device and they say, hey, do you support HDCP? And if the device says no, it does not encrypt the signal. And then like there's an exception for things like the Apple TV app, when it plays Netflix will only encrypt the signal, right? But the rest of the Apple TV interface is not encrypted. So for most of these sources, like the Apple TV and my computer, it'll negotiate with the converter and it will not encrypt the signal to begin with. So the reason that the HDMI matrix fails is because the HDMI matrix input says it supports HDCP, regardless of what it's routed to. So and I was just like, okay, I guess, there might be a model that like you can do EDID cloning on it to whatever. But at that point, you're going to be spending so much. I started looking into it, and they get very expensive very quickly to get like a good HDMI switcher. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? Forget it. Let's just go all SDI because that's like, it's a far better system. So, yeah, that is the Blackmagic 20x20. Should be here soon. I don't have a date on it yet, unfortunately, but it is on order, and they're also sending me 14 converters. Hopefully I have a sponsor. My sponsor is all of you sending me very nice super chats. Speaking of which, thank you for that one. And as well as watching my videos, because that helps that's how YouTube gives me money from AdSense, and also buying things with my affiliate links. That helps a lot more than you might expect. So please continue to do that. All of that together, I'm very grateful that it is like able to let me do this kind of stuff and play around with it, because at this point, I'm not putting any of my own money into the channel here. I am using the money that the channel makes to feed back into it. I'm also not actually living off any of the income I make from YouTube right now. I have a job, and that pays my bills. So everything that comes from this channel goes back into this channel, and this year has been doing very well, and I decided to do this upgrade and start playing around with SDI matrices, and I've been able to use all of the YouTube ad revenue and affiliate link money for all of to purchase all that. So yeah, thanks to all of you for watching me every week nerd out about video broadcast stuff. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it, and I hope you get something out of it as well. And yes, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, because that also helps things. So yeah, hit the like button. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. And hopefully I can do my outro with the music. We'll see if I can do that right. So yeah, this was a bit of a wild one, but hopefully it was fun. And I'll be back for more. And see you all in the next one.